gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Welcome to Cornhusker Corner with Blake.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm Brooks.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
And you better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business.
Here is a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stokes. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out. Yeah! 40. It is. Eric Crouch. 15, 10.
All right, welcome to Cornhusker Corner, where there's no place like this podcast. As always, we're your host Blake, my brother Brooks.
Yeah, just remember to like the video.
That's what I was.
Just remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, we go live a lot, so if you subscribe to the channel, there's a little bell notification thing you can click, and if you want to know when we're live, just go ahead and click that. It'd be fun for to get some live participation, get some comments, make it a interactive show. Also, follow us on X at @CHusker_corner, and go follow our Instagram page, Cornhusker Corner. All right, so here we are. It is Wisconsin game preview time, baby.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what happened last week is kind of making me even more nervous for this game. I mean, we talked about it. There's just a lot on the offense that has to be taken care of and figured out. But luckily for us, it kind of seems like Wisconsin is just on a nosedive as well. It's just going to see who's going to hit the ground first, us or them.
Right.
Because they started off the season little shaky, but we're still winning. And then the training wheels came off, and it was very apparent, like we were saying all off season, everybody just assumed Luke Fickell was going to go in there with his scheme and try to completely change the philosophy of a team from the inside out, something that's been that way for forever. Yeah. And there's growing pains when you do that. I'm not saying, and we never did, that he would never be successful with it, but year one, there was always going to be learning pains, and there have been.
Well, I'll say this. I pretty much said they'll never be successful, and I still say that, okay? If they're still trying to adapt to that system 3 years from now, if they're still trying to be Ohio State 3 years from now, they're not going to be Wisconsin. You know what I mean? I don't know. They might be 7-5. They might be 6-6. They might have a 9-3 year, but they're never going to be Ohio State, and they're not going to be Wisconsin, which used to be a bruising team that would play small ball and just win a lot, like a better version of Iowa, basically a better, more athletic version of Iowa was what Wisconsin was at their peak. And Russell Wilson, they had an offense, but besides that, I mean, it's been running back central. But I think this is interesting because Tanner Mordecai for Wisconsin's been out for most of the year, but I was just looking that up. The depth chart was released about 5 hours ago, and it looks like Tanner Mordecai is going to be the starter. So he's a 6-year senior. He played at SMU, transferred to Wisconsin from SMU. He was really good at SMU, but had a tough start to the year at Wisconsin, probably for a lot of the reasons that we were just talking about. System changes, and it's hard to be the guy in a changing system. But yes, for philosophical reasons, I really want to win this game because it'll be so vindicating to just prove that we were right all offseason, because we were the ones over here saying, look, not that Fickell's not a good coach, but it's a little bit of a weird fit at Wisconsin for what he's trying to do. Okay. And meanwhile, everybody's sort of sleeping on Rule, right? Even though we've had so many issues, what Rule is trying to do on paper really fits here, right? So it just would be vindicating to prove us right, really is what it is.
Plus, if we win this game and we beat Iowa, there's a very good chance that we would go to the Big Ten championship game.
Wait,
how
really?
terrible.
Dude. But Iowa has 2 losses. We have 4. So Iowa has to get one more loss.
Yes, they do.
Who do they play?
Let me see. They play Illinois and us.
And
Illinois has been playing
a
lot better football the past couple of weeks. So that's not an automatic win.
And Iowa's just like us. They're 8-2. They're 8-2, right? Yes, they're 8-2, but they could lose to everybody, just like they could beat everybody. So Illinois that's a dangerous game for Iowa, especially because the Black Friday game will be looming. They'll have a short week going into that game, and it's a rivalry game. And for Iowa, they could be looking at it as playing into the Big Ten championship. So, so Wisconsin's a game I really want to win, man. I really want to win.
No, for that, and just for pride. The one thing that I am feeling a little bit better about. It is a night game, and just this season, I don't know if this is anecdotal or what have you, but I feel like we played better at night for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, what night games have we had? Northern Illinois, right, was a night game.
Minnesota was, but
Minnesota was yeah, that was a completely different team back then, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's also opening weekend of deer hunting season in Wisconsin this weekend, and that's like notorious in Badger circles. Like the opening weekend, the Wisconsin game is going to be dead for opening weekend of hunting season. So I'm not really expecting it to be the 2011 version of Camp Randall. But I mean, it's still a tough environment. It's still Camp Randall. It's still going to be mostly full, if not all the way full. And it's still, they're going to jump around in the third quarter. I mean, it's an intimidating place to play. I'll give them their props. Camp Randall, it's one of the stadiums I want to visit, to be honest with you. But I mean, if at the beginning of the year, if you showed me the schedule and said, hey, Brooks, what game do you want to win the most on that schedule? It's probably Wisconsin, just for those reasons I've talked about. The monkey on our back with us only having beaten them once in the conference, and the fact that Luke Fickell feels like a weird fit, and we were the ones calling it out. Nobody else was. But yeah, so they're starting Mordecai. Braylon Allen has been banged up for a lot of the year, but he's going to be starting. And he's just a beast. Braylon Allen is I think, besides Michigan, and it's mostly because of their team, I think Braylon Allen is the best Big Ten, like pure Big Ten back we'll probably play all year. So this, I talk about a lot of these games. It's like, this is about Nebraska coming to show up and play their best game. Well, and PIs don't get called right at the end, or, like, I mean, 2 years in a row, wasn't it? Or it was 1 year and then a year and a half later, or 2 years later, we had one where like the dude was interfered with bad, and it would have been a touchdown for us, and he was tackled. And we had another one that they called PI on JoJo, and it was not it was ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, it seems like it's always the most frustrating game of the year is playing Wisconsin. I want to beat them so bad, and it's very much close most of the time.
Yeah, it's close most of the time, and they've had our number for a really long time.
They have had our number,
which does kind of work in our favor, because if you've beat a team so many times, you start not to respect them as much. Even if they're like, oh, there's a good opponent, we really respect what they can do. Yeah, no, that's not true. If you go out every year after year, they're like, everybody on their team has never lost to Nebraska. So, well, at Wisconsin, I don't know. I don't know the roster like backwards.
Transfer, but you never know where they transfer.
If I was a betting man, Nebraska hasn't done much winning, so.
Right. I mean, look, we picked off Josh Allen 5 times. He still has nightmares about us. Okay. You just, he's over there in Buffalo thinking about the Nebraska Cornhuskers is what he's doing.
Yeah. No, that's why he's playing like crap.
No doubt. No, but yeah, so from a Nebraska perspective, I mean, it's playing clean football. Here's what I was going to say. The thing that I can appreciate about our team so far through the year is there's a phrase that's thrown around when talking about what type of team Nebraska should have ad nauseum. And it's, we want to be the type of team that no matter win or lose, they feel it when they play us, right? That's, I've heard it countless times, because I think that was a quote that was dropped in the 90s by somebody, as they feel it when they play us. And I do feel that through almost every game this year, if not every game this year. Probably Michigan was the one team that was like, yeah, they probably didn't feel as much. But besides that, win or lose, I feel like every team felt us. You know what I mean? And from a Wisconsin perspective, I just think like we're an aggressive team. We're a good tackling team. I just want them to feel us. I just want them to feel us.
I want the defense to score more.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Come on, defense.
Defense. Score touchdowns. What are you doing out there? No, but unfortunately the where we kind of are falling here, that like our defense needs to come up with some turnovers in positive territory or score, because you don't know what's running outside on the field and on the other side of the ball, and who knows how they're going to what they're going to try to do with Wisconsin. I'll be frank, and then I'll tell the truth as well. And that was a bad joke. But I haven't watched a lot of Wisconsin this year. I've caught up with them with highlights. I watched their first 2 games in full, but I just don't know what their strengths and what their weaknesses are on the defensive side of the ball. I know they're probably, still big up front from what I've seen, and running is hard. Running on them is hard to do. What are you giggling about?
Oh, no worries. Continue, Frank.
Okay. Oh my God. I just realized you changed my name here. Okay.
Change his name to Frank.
Yeah, change my name to Frank. That's funny. No, but as far as like what our offense is going to be able to do or not, it's not really on their defense. It's on our offense, and that's what sucks.
Yeah, it is.
That's what really sucks.
I want to ask you this, since you brought up the topic of our offense, and we sort of touched on it last show, that we both sort of feel like Chuba probably should be the starter going into this game. So assuming that Chuba will be the starter, just assuming, what would you change from a game plan standpoint as an offensive coordinator?
Same thing I would change if Harburg
exactly.
In there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because right now it's literally we talked about it on the last show that it's a coach that is refusing to adapt to his people that he has in the game, like refusing to not roll their quarterbacks out, refusing to run the ball to a fault. Like I would much rather run the ball to a fault, hand it off 3 times, get stuffed. You know what? You have to keep feeding it. I would much rather that than trying to outsmart the other team with personnel that's not their specialty. That's not what they're able to do. So,
I mean, a direct quote from Satterfield is, you have to have the guts to go 3 and out. He said that. He said, you have to have the guts to go 3 and out. Yeah. And what he meant by that was like, we're trying to establish an identity. Okay. If we have to go 3 and out sometimes to establish that identity, then that's what we're going to do. And for me, it's like, no matter what quarterback's in there, we need to rely on the run. We need to establish the run. Establishing the run is going to be most important, regardless of who's in there at quarterback. But the interesting thing to me is the Chuba that we saw last season was in a completely different system, so it's hard to even judge that play in this context. But we just don't even really know what Chuba's strengths are compared to the other guys. You know what I mean? We haven't seen enough of him yet. So maybe he is a good pocket passer in certain situations. Maybe if we set it up right and get it in the right situation, he'll be an okay pocket passer.
With a whole week of prep.
Yeah.
That's why I think they should go with him too. Because you know what do you have to lose? You know exactly what you get.
The other guy. Yeah. You know what you got with the other guys. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can love Jeff Sims. Like Jeff Sims, by all accounts, is a great guy. Mm-hmm. But you know what he gets, on the field. Like he could even go out for a couple drives, strings himself together, look like, oh, he might be coming on the other side, and then he shows up. So so I think that would be the smartest thing to do, would be to okay, he keeps changing my name.
Now it's Chuba Purdy's #1 fan.
This is all out the window if Harburg is healthy.
Agreed. Agreed. But I mean, to a point, because even a healthy Harburg, he was regressing from game to game. I mean, he really was. He was playing worse and worse. And I think it's something along the lines of what Matt Rule said before, which is, we touched on it last time, but it's when you're a quarterback and, you start playing, you might just be playing with reckless abandon because you don't know what can go wrong and how it feels when it goes wrong. But then you get a little bit of experience and you're like, okay, now I need to start reading the defense a little bit. And when you do that, sometimes you overthink things and you're not playing. So it just felt like Harburg did that. And he was a little bit slower and more hesitant the last couple weeks. So I think it's even gotten to, I like Harburg. I like him as a person. I even like a lot of his positives as a quarterback, but I just think it's gotten to the point with both Harburg and Sims that you really kind of know what you're getting at this point. Like, they're gonna be good for a couple turnovers a game. They're gonna be good for missing a couple open receivers a game. And with Purdy, you just don't know yet. They know because they've seen it in practice, right? So that's why at the end of the day, I'm going to trust their decision because I don't see what they see. But yeah, so Chuba is going to be the starter, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. To to be quite honest with you, because I don't know, we need a guy that's like, if we don't get anybody in the portal, we at least have this guy. You know what I mean? Like you can't just go into the offseason being like, we need to get a portal guy no matter what, blah, blah, blah. You have to have somebody on your roster to be the backup no matter what. Right. So I hope it could be Churber-Purder. But
but I mean, to me, like Harburg is that guy.
I mean, do you see him being like a feasible starting quarterback? Like, do you see it? I mean, I've just got to say, like the last couple of games, I've just sort of gotten off that train a little bit. Like, I don't know if I see him being quarterback.
The stuff that you can't teach, he has. He has the build. He's a smart guy. He's even the throws that like he's thrown interceptions. They're just bad throws. Like a couple of them weren't even bad reads. He just didn't make the throw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big deal.
I mean, fair, but I'm telling you, they could get that fixed.
I would rather have it the other way around, and I'll tell you why. I'd rather have a guy who struggles to make the reads, but then he releases the ball, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what they see in him. Whereas Heinrich, it's almost the opposite, where it's like he's seeing the field decently. You can almost tell he's not terrible at seeing the field. He does find a guy here and there in the passing game, but then he'll just throw it 15 yards away from the guy. Yeah. And it's very discouraging. And then Jeff Sims, I mean, we've already hit on plenty of Jeff Sims this season, and he just proved again who he was. And he can't transfer, by the way. He can't transfer. He already transferred. He hasn't graduated yet. Like, he's here for another year. Did you know that? He's here. He's going to be on the roster. So we got to find a position for him. He's got to be a tight end, a flex tight end. He would be so good in that role. Like, bring him in on passing situations, put him in the slot. And if he can block, then you just have him as a regular tight end. He can be in there at any time. He's big. But he's not a quarterback. He's certainly not an NFL quarterback.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So Wisconsin's identity. They've, wanted to change the trajectory of all that. Want to be a pass first, run to complement the pass. But they've had to rely on the run to overcompensate because they just I don't think they have the personnel to run that offense. And again, it's a culture thing. So that being said, I do think that they're able to pass a little bit, but again, their run offense gets a little stagnant before having a 120, 130 yard game for Braylon Allen. So definitely not a bad game. You could definitely win with that. I think that translates to about 17 points, and I think that we only score 10.
So 17-10 Wisconsin. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
I gotta say, save the Michigan game, which we've said that a million times. It would feel really weird to have a running back get even over 100 yards on us. I don't know if that's happened so far this year. Has it? A running back anywhere besides Michigan, a running back getting over 100 yards? I don't think so. I mean, we've been holding teams to at most 290 yards of total offense, at most. So I don't know. That would be weird. But I agree. Like I said, Braylon Allen is one of the best backs we're going to play all year. And if they have a smidge of that identity that they used to have, they'll be a tough game, tough sledding in the run game for sure. But for me, it's all about the offense because I think our defense is a known commodity. And I think our offense is a known commodity too, but it's known in a bad way. So the only thing they can do is improve from here, really. Whereas the defense, we're just relying on them to not fall off a cliff at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. But if Chubba Purdy can get in there and we can establish the run game and we can limit the turnovers, I know it's a crazy idea, but if we can just limit the turnovers to two turnovers, I'll give you all two. Yeah. I think we have a really good shot of winning this game in a very close Big Ten match. I'm glad I'm not on the team because my mentality is pretty shot at this point, especially with that last game. It's very frustrating just watching all the turnover after turnover. So I'm with you. I think Wisconsin will probably score 20 points, and I think we'll score 10. So 20-10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 20-10, 17-10.
Yeah.
So kind of around the same game. That's unfortunate. And then we're going to have to, get bowl eligible with Iowa at home. which I would want to avoid. I would love to be surprised on Saturday, but
I don't look. And I know we'll talk about this on next week's show, obviously, but I'm not scared of this version of Iowa. I've never been scared of this version of Iowa. I'm still not scared of this version of Iowa. Even with Wisconsin, like there's still elements of their team this year that I'm like, ooh, if he goes off, like that could be a hard game. With Iowa, it's like, bro, who do they have on offense? Nobody. Our defense is so good. You know, like we're gonna hold them. It's just a matter of our offense.
That game is going to be 3-0.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be the final score,
no doubt.
And it's just who's going to get there first.
Yeah, no doubt. and I trust our kicker. I like Tristan Alvano. We got to use him more, you know. But
yeah, maybe on the 6-yard line with a little under 3 minutes left.
No joke.
Yeah.
No joke. But yeah, so 20 to 10 Wisconsin is my prediction.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. 7:30?
7:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Central time for all you people in the normal time zone.
Oh, the normal
damn
time zone.
East Coaster.
Yeah. So 7:30 my time. Yeah, I'm
Blake's
excited.
Out there. What's that one movie about the retirees in Florida with Wilford Brimley, Grumpy Old Men?
Cocoon?
No, Cocoon. Yeah, Blake's out there living that cocoon life.
You're right. I am.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely am. But anyway, that's going to be it for us today on the Cornhusker Corner. Always remember that there's no place like
this
podcast.
Please go ahead and like that video and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the support that we get from you guys, and we're hoping to continue growing. Blake and I enjoy talking about Nebraska football on here, and we hope to get more and more support as we continue to grow and as the Huskers continue to get better. So give us that support and catch our podcast on all platforms. Also, subscribe to us on Twitter, or X as the people want to call it, at @CHusker_corner, and go follow our Instagram, Cornhusker Corner. Thanks for watching.